Bible Lessons Daily. Ancient truth for modern life.
Looking at this map of the Sea of Galilee, if we cross over to the eastern shoreline, we enter the region of the Gerasenes. In the ancient world, this was predominantly Gentile territory. The environment here was quiet, isolated, and incredibly eerie. The rocky hillsides were pockmarked with deep caves, tombs where the local population buried their dead. The moment Jesus steps out of his boat onto this shore, a terrified, violent man comes running directly toward him. This man lived entirely exposed to the elements, sleeping out among the graves. He wore no clothes, and day and night he would wander the hillsides, crying out and violently cutting his own skin with jagged stones. The people of the region had tried to physically restrain him. They would bind his wrists and ankles with heavy iron chains and shackles, but he possessed an unnatural strength and would snap the metal apart every single time. Eventually, the townspeople resorted to a strict social quarantine. Travelers completely avoided the coastal paths, and parents strictly warned their children to stay far away from the hills. The community had entirely surrendered this man to the darkness. He was isolated, uncontrollable, and written off as an absolute lost cause, posing a difficult question: is any human truly beyond the reach of being saved? But when this untamable man spots Jesus on the shore, the dynamic instantly flips. Instead of attacking the travelers, he sprints over and collapses in total submission at Jesus' feet. The entity inside the man cries out, recognizing exactly who has arrived. It screams, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." Jesus had already commanded the unclean spirit to leave its host. To expose the nature of the affliction, he interrogates the entity, asking simply, "What is your name?" The voice issues a horrifyingly precise response: "My name is Legion, for we are many." To understand the weight of that word, look at this diagram. A Roman legion was a massive military unit comprised of up to 6,000 heavily armed, highly organized soldiers. When we see those thousands of units compress back onto that single point, the military terminology reveals the true magnitude of his bondage. His mind and body are occupied by a coordinated army. His healing will require a literal act of liberation. Up on the nearby hillside, a massive herd of approximately 2,000 pigs is actively feeding. Knowing they are outmatched, the demons make a desperate final plea. They beg Jesus for permission to enter the herd of pigs, terrified of being exiled out of the region completely. Jesus grants them permission. Immediately, the legion vacates the man and transfers into the animals. The physical reaction is immediate and violent. 2,000 pigs suddenly go entirely wild, tearing down the hill enveloped in a thick cloud of dust. The stampeding herd rushes straight toward the edge of the steep cliff, plunges over the side, and drowns in the lake below. The sudden, catastrophic destruction of the herd provides undeniable physical proof of the chaotic, lethal force that had been tormenting the man for years, a force that has now been permanently removed. Up on the hill, the men tending the pigs watch their entire livelihood vanish into the water. Shocked, they sprint into the nearby countryside, drawing a massive crowd of townspeople back to the shore to investigate the commotion. The crowd arrives expecting chaos. Instead, they find the terrifying, violent man sitting quietly on the shore, completely calm. Look at this restored scene. The physical proof of his reclaimed humanity is obvious. The man who had lived naked and screaming in the dirt is now fully clothed, composed, and in his right mind. But the townspeople don't celebrate. Seeing a man restored to sanity after years of violent torment doesn't bring them relief. It causes a wave of deep fear to spread through the crowd. Hearing the eyewitness accounts of the drowned pigs and seeing the impossible healing with their own eyes, the locals actively plead with Jesus to pack up and leave their territory immediately. They had learned to manage the horrors of the demoniac by avoiding him entirely, but the sudden, absolute power of God to transform reality was something they couldn't control. To them, that unpredictable power was far more terrifying than familiar chaos. As Jesus prepares to honor their request and steps back into the boat, the newly healed man begs to go with him, desperate to stay close to the one who saved his life. But Jesus refuses. Instead, he issues a specific countermission. Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. Tracing his path on this map, we see lines spreading outward from the Gerasene region. The man obeys, traveling through the 10 surrounding cities known as the Decapolis, spreading the story of his restoration and amazing everyone who listens. A man who lived entirely in darkness, isolated among the graves and written off by society, was restored to perfect peace. His life proves that divine mercy can reach into total chaos and produce a living, breathing testimony of freedom and purpose.
What lesson spoke to your heart today? Tell us in the comments and subscribe for daily Bible wisdom.